And there's a couple more, it's not just three, I'm reviewing in my head. So. Possessor, okay, or related to Hafjad. To Hafjad, okay? So what do I mean by this? And these are the four basic things, the four basic functions of an ism, okay? The four basic functions or roles of an ism in a sentence. And if you can just remember these four basic rules, inshallah you'll make a lot of progress moving forward. So if it's the subject of the sentence, okay? The subject of the sentence can either be, what is it? The mubtada. Remember we studied last time? And we'll review it again today inshallah. The nominal sentence, a sentence that begins with an ism, it's called a jumla ismiya, or a nominal or a noun sentence. Okay? If it starts with an ism, it's called a noun sentence. And therefore, you need to identify the subject of the sentence and the object of the sentence, or the predicate of the sentence. So the subject of the sentence is that thing which the sentence is talking about. Okay? And then the predicate of the sentence is everything that details, that gives information about that subject. Okay? So the subject is in the state of what? What is the state? There are three states of an ism. What's the first one? Go ahead, Rafa'an, Nasbun, Jarrun. There are three grammatical states of an ism. Those three grammatical states, what state will a subject of a sentence be? Always. Rafa'an. Okay? Okay? Rafa'an. So subjects of sentences, they take the state of Rafa. So when I say, what's the subject of the sentence? And you figure out the subject of the sentence, and I ask you, what is its grammatical state? You say, this is the state of Rafa. Okay? Great. Now, details of a verb. This includes the object of the verb. Object of the verb, meaning the verb is being acted upon something. I kicked the dog. Okay, don't do this. But I kicked the dog, right? What's the object of the verb in the sentence? The dog, right? So the dog, once you translate it into Arabic, it'll take the state of nasab. This is called nasab. So details of the verb take nasab. Okay? And those of you who are new students, if this is confusing to you, do not let it bother you, inshallah. With examples you understand, and inshallah when we do a solid review, inshallah you will be able to understand with the help of Allah. So object of the verbs, objects of the verb, how the adverbs are also in the state of nasab. And if you guys recall the very first lesson we talked about the 8 types of words in English. You recall? We have adjectives, which describe what? What do adjectives describe? They describe nouns. Okay, just in this thing about English. Adjectives describe nouns. Okay? So for example, the tall man. The tall man, the word tall is an adjective. Okay? Adverbs, what do they describe? Verbs, but it's not only verbs. Adverbs describe everything besides nouns. Okay? So they describe adverbs, they describe verbs, and they describe adjectives. Remember we discussed this? If you remember that, when you get into an Arabic sentence and you realize that this is describing the verb, or it's describing the adverb, or it's describing another adjective, then you know it's an adverb. Let me give you an example. How can you describe an adverb? How can you describe an adjective? The very tall man. The word very is a description of tall. It's qualifying tall. So very is an adverb. Okay? I kicked the dog hard. The word hard, or with a lot of strength. The word hard is an adverb. It's describing kicked. Okay? It's qualifying. It's giving more details to the word kicked. I kicked the dog very hard. Again, the word very is an adverb describing hard, or it's making more emphasis to the word hard. Okay, so all those type of words, if you find them and when you translate them into Arabic, they'll take the state of nasab. And so if you know these two things, alhamdulillah. Possessor. Possessor, for example, Kitabullahi, the book of Allah. Who is the possessor in this construct? Who is the one who owns what? What owns what? Allah owns the book. He's the possessor of the book. And so why is it Kitabullahi? Because it is in the state of jar. Jar. Okay? Kitabullahi. And new students again, inshallah, when we go through examples and practice, etc., throughout the rest of the class, inshallah, we'll re-investigate these things to further illustrate these things. Kitabullahi is in state of jar. Allahi, because it's the possessor of this construct, it is in state of jar. And now the last one is related to huruf al-jar, which we did not have the chance to study in the review session. But huruf al-jar are huruf, they're a harf. Remember we talked about 3 types of words? Ism, fi'l, and harf. So they're a harf. You recognize that they're a harf? But they have a particular role. What their role is that the word that comes after it is related to it. It turns the word that comes after it into the state of jar. And that's why they call huruf al-jar. Because they change the word that comes after it into the state of jar. And in common examples, give me a common example of a harf al-jar. Of a single jar. Harf. I'm sorry? Kataba, that is a fi'l. Harf, fi, for example. So, fi sabilillah. Fi sabili. Fi sabili illa. Right? So, fi is a common example, which means in. Okay? So, fil kitab. Fil kitab bi. What happens is the word fi turns the word after it into the state of jar. And so, therefore, it's fi kitab bi. Fil kitab bi. With the kasra. Okay? Talk about that in a moment. Then, so another example of harf jar. Min, from, min. So, I am coming from my house. Ati min bayt. Or I'll say, make it easier. I'm coming from the house. Ati min or min al bayti. Okay? So the word that comes after it, the word is bayt, which means house. It takes the state of jar. Okay, we'll get more examples. I'm just reviewing here, inshallah. So it is the state of jar, and you just need to memorize what those huruf are. So the huruf are fi, ala, min, ala, ila, bi, wa, li, fi, sabi, lillah, li, illa. So when it's connected to Allah, it turns Allah into the state of jar. So it's lillahi, fi sabilillahi. Okay? Because it turns the word that comes after it into the state of jar. Okay? So these are the 4 fundamental roles an ism can play in a sentence. And as a result of that, they have particular grammatical states to identify, to help you identify that it's playing this particular role. Understand? Okay. So, go ahead and write this down, inshallah, while I continue. So, what we did after studying the 4 characteristics of the ism is we moved on and we began to discuss the compounds, okay? How to put words together. Specifically, how to put 2 nouns together. How to put nouns together, or isms together. How do you put isms together? When you put them together and they do not form a complete sentence, they're called incomplete sentences, compounds, or fragments. That's what we call them. And there are 3 fundamental compounds or fragments that you'll see line after line in the Quran. If you have identified them, they'll help you a lot. The first one is what? And we already talked about them here. Both of them are identified here. The first type of compound is this one. A possessor compound. Okay? A possessor compound. And I'm not going to go into details. All you need to know is that this is a compound that identifies that one object is owned by another object. So for example, Kitabullahi. Kitabullahi, and there are certain rules for you to identify these constructs. So Kitabullahi, the first rule in this case, for example, is that the thing that's being possessed does not take alif lam ever. Okay, just to give you an example. So it's Kitabullahi. So because Allah has alif lam, it's of course the thing that is possessing. The second rule, of course, as we just mentioned here, is that the thing that is possessing, as in this example, Kitabullahi, it takes the state of jar. Okay? So that's the first type of compound. The second type of compound is what? Mudaf alayhi, that's actually the one we're talking about here, which is the possessed and the possessor. The second type of compound is the descriptive compound, or the adjectival compound. How do you describe things? How do you describe things? So, in order for things to be a descriptive factor, number one, the adjective comes after the noun. And then the second thing is the adjective matches the ism in every single, the adjective describes the thing it's describing, or it matches the thing that it's describing in all four characteristics of the ism. Okay. I'm doing a quick review here for new students. You're going to get a solid review later, inshallah. Okay? I'm just trying to catch you up a little bit. So, for example, Alhamdulillahi, Allahi, Ar-Rahmani, Ar-Rahimi. So we see that Allah is the thing that's being described. It's the word that's being described. What are the adjectives here? Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Now, Allah, is it definite or indefinite? How do you know it's definite? Allah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't look at your mother. Alif Lam, I'm checking for you. Alif Lam, okay? Alif Lam on Allah, Alif Lam. Now, is it male or masculine or feminine? Masculine, okay? Because there's no signs of femininity on it. Of course, Allah, there's never a feminine description of it. And even though it's being described in a masculine way, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond comparison to His creation, and therefore He does not take any gender. Though in the language, it is described in that way. So Allah is masculine. The word is masculine. Now, is it single, dual, or plural? Of course it is single. Now last but not least, what is its grammatical state? Alhamdu lillahi. Why is it? What is it? Jar. Why is it jar? Li. Because half jar. Because of this thing right here. It's related to a half jar. Li is a half jar. You just gotta memorize huruf jar. So that's why new students don't be set down. I'll give you look at the chapter inshallah, and you can try to review it and read it on your own as well. So lillahi. So now Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman is an adjective of Allah being described here. So Ar-Rahman needs to match Allah in everything we just discussed. So it needs to be definite, it needs to be masculine, it needs to be singular, and it needs to be in the state of jar. And therefore it's Alhamdulillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Alright? So these are those are the two major constructs. Now the third major construct is what we talked about here, is harf jar, and the compound of the word that comes after it. And we've already discussed that, okay? So once we talked about compounds, we then identified how to now put words together to make sentences. And this is what we'll review today, inshallah, because we studied it last time. The very last class we had was studying sentences. And so, everyone has this down? So now, when we study sentences, what is the difference between a sentence and a compound? Can someone explain to me the difference between a sentence and a compound? Anybody? Just on a basic level, to understand. How do you know what
is not a complete sentence.
Exactly. Sentence is a complete thought. So if you say it, it makes sense by itself. It doesn't need any more information. So it is a complete thought. Alhamdulillah. So now, when we talk about sentences in the Arabic language, there are two types of sentences. And the only reason why we need to know that there are two types of sentences, because it helps us with i'rab. It helps us identify the functions of the words in the sentence. And you'll know this, you'll understand this in a minute. Because today we're studying verbs and verbal sentences. So, when you study al-jumla, al-jumla is called sentence. Al-jumla. There are two types of sentences in the Arabic language. What are they? Jumla ismiya. Jumlatu al-ismiyatu. By the way, al-jumlatu al-ismiyatu, that construct, what kind of construct is it? What kind of compound is it? Al-jumlatu al-ismiyatu. What kind of compound? The three compounds we just studied, which one is it?
Adjective.
Adjective. Excellent. Okay, because it matches alif-lam, alif-lam. Masculine, feminine, feminine. Okay? That's the reason why you make this ismiyatu. It's because it needs to match the femininity of jumla. So ta marbuta, ta marbuta. Al-jumlatu al-ismiya. Now it is single, single, and it is raf'an, raf'an. Okay? Ismiya. Okay? So what is the second type of sentence? I'm sorry? فعلية. Excellent. جملة الفعلية. Excellent. So, we haven't studied today, we're going to study this. The only thing you need to know how to identify if it's Jumla Ismiya, Jumla Fi'liya, how do you identify it? It's very simple. What word does it, what type of word does it start with? If it starts with an ism, it's Jumla al-Ismiya. If it starts with a fi'l, Jumla al-Fi'liya. Okay? So because we only know isms at this point, we've only learned Jumla al-Ismiya. So the Jumla al-Ismiya has two parts to it. What's the first part? Okay? So, the boy is tall. Or is smart. Identify the two parts. There are two parts to a Jumla al-Ismiya. Excellent. Mubtada and khabar. In English, I like to use both because this is just terminology now. Subject and predicate. Mubtada, khabar. The mubtada is the subject, the khabar is the predicate. And khabar, as we mentioned in Urdu, and this should help us, it should be something to help us, khabar means news, right? So similarly, khabar gives news of the mubtada, gives information about the mubtada. So the predicate gives information about the mubtada. So which one is this? Where is the subject here in the sentence?
Boy.
The boy. Okay, subject. The predicate is?
Smart. He's smart.
Okay, it's smart. Okay? And so the way you identify in English what the subject is and what the predicate is simple, and it is the word is. Once you see the word is, you know that the predicate comes after, the subject comes before. But in Arabic it's not that simple. Why? Because there is no word is in the Jumla al-Ismiya construct. Okay? So, if you want to say this in Arabic, you write it as such. You say al-waladu zaki. Zakiyun. 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 Okay? So, most of us sometimes, up to this point, by the grace of Allah, maybe we've had the opportunity to learn vocabulary, right? So we know al-waladu, we know that al-waladu means boy, and we know that the key means smart. But we don't know how to put it together and say the boy is smart. Okay? So now the way we know that to put the words together and that the boy is smart is simple. Number one, al-waladu, first thing you need to know is that both the subject and the predicate, when they're only two words, they're both in the state of rafa. Okay? And by the way, the basic signs of rafa, I'll just tell you guys right now. For single words, it's dhamma. So if you have a dhamma, it's a rafa for our new students, because we didn't get to study it. Dhamma, dhammatain, it doesn't matter. Just the point that there's a dhamma there. Okay? And the dhamma, dhammatain is determined by whether it is definite or indefinite. Last one is what? Fatha or fathatain. Okay, in this case, the fathatain, the two fathas. And then jar
Kasra.
is kasra. Okay? Simple sentences, if you can identify those things, you know it's a particular statement. Okay? But we know that there are different signs for dual words, different signs for plural words. But right now, single words. Al-waladu dhakiyun. Dhakiyun. Okay? Dhakiyun. Okay? So now, how do you identify where the subject is and where the predicate is? Number one, we already know that the subject is first. That's the first word because it is, and this is how you determine that it is jumlatul ismiyya. So, al-waladu is a sentence. Dhakiyun is the word that comes after it. Because it's just a two-word sentence, it's very simple to identify the subject and the predicate. The subject is the one that usually has, it's usually in the state of ma'arifa, so basically it's usually definite. Why can't the predicate be definite? Why can't you write it as a definite? Why can't you put alif lam here? Why can't I say al-waladu al-dhakiyu?
Not complete.
Because it becomes what?
Adjective.
It becomes an adjectival compound. Okay? That's important. That's why we study the compounds first. Because if you identify a compound, then if you identify that if there is no connection, if there is no compoundo, if there is no complex relationship between the two words, now you know it's a full sentence. Okay? Now, if I make it a little bit more complicated, if anyone wants to write this down, go ahead. So it's when it's two words, it's simple. Okay? When it gets more than two words, then we need to start to learn a little bit of the rules. So go ahead and write this down. So this is a jumla ismiya. Ismiya, because this is an ism. Ism. Okay? Jumla ismiya. So this is in this case, this is the subject. This is the subject. And this is the predicate. Okay? The subject comes first, the predicate comes next. Same thing in English. Now, once we start to learn, once we start to add words to this, then we need to start to remember our compounds. And there's a reason why. Al-waladu dhakiyun. The boy is smart. Now, the smart boy is tall. Where's the subject and where's the predicate?
The smart one.
The smart boy, now there's three words, is the subject. Whatever comes before the is the subject. What comes afterwards is the predicate. Okay? English is easy to identify subject and predicate. In Arabic, how do we write this? Anyone want to give it a try? I know you. Go ahead, come. And write all your harakat. Excellent, mashallah. There's a few corrections. This is a hamza wasat, and this has a shadda as well. Excellent. So, al-waladu al-dhakiyu tawilun. Al-waladu al-dhakiyu. Now we have what's called an adjectival compound. Adjective. Okay? And because you learned adjectival compounds before, al-waladu al-dhakiyu. And how do you know it's an adjectival compound? Because number one, first you know al-walad means boy. You know the kiyun means smart. You know tawilun means tall. Okay? Now you don't know how to put it together as a sentence. So this is our next stage. Now, al-waladu, you know it is an ism. It means boy. You know that it's definite. You know that it's single. You know that it's masculine. You know that it's in the state of raf. Why? Raf1 has dhamma. Okay? So this has four. Now you learn the four characteristics of the subject. Now you what's this word? It is definite. It is single. It is masculine. and it is rafa. Because they match in all those four characteristics, these two are combined together as a compound. And this is an adjectival compound because this word is describing this word. So the smart boy, instead of saying the boy that is smart, you can say the boy that is smart. But the smart boy, tawilun. Because tawilun no longer fits into this bracket, no longer is combined with these two words, it now is the predicate. So when all compounds connected to the original word are exhausted, what comes after is the predicate. And therefore, you put the is in between those two parts. So I'm telling you how to translate from English to Arabic. Our most important goal is to be able to translate from Arabic to English. That's our fundamental goal in this class. Okay? So that is Jumla al-Ismiyya. And you can get more advanced than that. In order for us to get more advanced than that, we need to pull out our papers. Anyone print them out? Raise your hand if you printed them out. Excellent. Okay, good. So what I want you guys to do for the next 10 minutes as part of our break is get together in groups, discuss your answers, correct if you're wrong, and we'll discuss it as a group, inshallah.
So what do we need to do? Okay. This one?
The father of the goat was the companion of the messenger. Abu Bakr is literally, if you read Arabic or speak, sometimes it's Abu Bakr, Abi Bakr, it'll change because it's Abu Bakr is the father of the goat. Because his nickname was, he used to be a baby goat when he was a child, but his name is not Abu Bakr from birth. That was given to him because he used to
Yeah, I don't know, maybe the hellfire was treated or like at least
yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So, subject.
Chastised. Chastisement. Yeah, as a result of sin or chastisement. It's not the opposite of reward. Rajal is man, two man, or standing, standing, standing. So two men or something.
Two men.
Or standing.
Two men.
Rajal is one man.
Okay. So two men are standing.
But what is it describing? It's added to the compound. The first two words are added. So that's a mubtada. And this shadow is khabar.
The subject is the mubtada, the predicate is the khabar.
Literally means destruction, but in a hard translation.
Yeah, here the truth.
For the, to the, because li, so that's it. How, well, to the, or for the, either way, for the monopoly.
Subject
Yeah.
is this one.
Yeah, and then the punishment of the hell is the consequence of disbelief. I'm looking up those words right now too. Seems like here the truth, but same thing because it's
Hellfire is fruitful.
yeah. I think the truth.
It's a complex, yeah. So you have the salim and the qulub, that's the adjective compound. Yeah, so you're describing the heart, the sound, and then that belongs to the believer. And then it also is involved. These two compounds mixed together. So you know qulub al-mu'minin as an adjective is the hearts of the believer. But then how do you know that that sound one is describing what? And then you know because it's matching the qalb al.
Sound heart of believers.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's subject, the whole thing.
In fee.
Evil deed or the bad deeds.
Yeah.
The bad deeds are evil.
Call for a job.
The bad deeds are evil.
So the But I think here he's basically trying to help us understand how to recognize the mubtada. That's the main thing. So if you can recognize the mubtada, look how you know the hard part is the mubtada. Because sometimes, like for instance, that sentence, the sound part of the believers, I mean that's a complex compound, but it's the mubtada. You have to know that all three are the mubtada. Yeah, so mubtada is the subject. Khabar is the article, the news, the information about the subject.
Okay, let's go ahead and inshallah break through your groups. Go ahead and go back to the normal pages.
Main. But the khabar, you know, yeah. So then you know the khabar is not the main.
Okay. Bismillah. So sisters, inshallah, if you can read the first one in Arabic and then tell me the translation. Allahu Ahadun. Okay, what's the translation? Excellent. What's the mubtada here? Allah, the khabar? Ahadun. Allah is one and unique. Alhamdulillah. Excellent. Your group. Go ahead. Who wants the young man wants to speak for your group? Go ahead. The next one, go ahead and read it out loud. Al-Jahannamu haqqun. Okay, go ahead, translate it. Excellent. Excellent. Now translate it for me. The hell is real. Excellent. So he said, Al-Jahannamu is the subject, haqqun is the predicate, and the translation is the hellfire, or Al-Jahannamu, which is a title for hellfire, hell. The hell is haqqun, is true. Excellent. Go ahead. Alhamdu lillahi. Go ahead. Excellent. The praise is for Allah. Excellent. So alhamdu lillahi. Alhamdu is the subject, is the mubtada. Lillahi is the khabar. And if you notice, lillahi is an adjective, or is a harf jar construct, a harf jar compound. Lillahi. Alhamdu, the praise. Lillahi. Li means to or belongs to. So alhamdu, li is called lam of possession. So lillahi. The hamd is possessed by Allah. Alhamdu lillahi. Excellent. Go ahead.
Al-Quran is the subject, and Nuran is the khabar. Al-Quran is the Quran, and Nuran means light. So we translate it as the Quran is light.
Excellent. So I love the step-by-step process that I want you all to mouth your step-by-step process. So the first step is to identify the mubtada and the khabar. So Al-Qur'anu is the mubtada, Nurun is the khabar, Alhamdu lillahi. Al-Qur'anu Nurun. So Al-Quran is the mubtada, Nurun is the khabar. Then he translated each word individually. Al-Quran is the Quran, Nur means light. And then he put it together as a sentence. Al-Qur'anu Nurun. The Quran is a light. Excellent. Alright, go ahead.
Muhammadur Rasulullah. So Muhammad is the subject and Rasulullah is the predicate. And the meaning is Muhammad is the messenger of Allah.
Excellent, mashallah. So Muhammadun Rasulullah. So the subject, the mubtada is Muhammadun sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The predicate or the khabar is Rasulullahi. Rasulullahi. And الجنة ثواب في الآخرة. So الجنة is the مبتدا, ثواب في الآخرة is the khabar. And الجنة means paradise or the paradise. ثواب means reward. في الآخرة means in the hereafter, in the afterlife. So put it all together. الجنة ثواب في الآخرة. Excellent. Next, Hassan, or are you too busy? Poor guys running around.
Abu Bakr, Sahib Rasulullah. Abu Bakr is Mubtada, Sahib Rasulullah. Abu Bakr is the companion of Rasulullah.
Excellent. So Abu Bakr, Sahibu Rasulillahi. Notice I'm exaggerating the endings because the endings determine the grammatical state. So I want you guys to think about that as you're doing it, inshallah. So Abu Bakr, and actually Abu Bakr is actually a compound. But it's a name, but it's a compound. Abu Bakr. So this is what kind of compound? Abu Bakr. Idafa, exactly. So it is a possessive compound. So Abu, the father of Bakr. So the possessor is Bakr, the father is the thing that's being possessed. Abu Bakr. So because it is a compound, those are put together are the mubtada. So Abu Bakr is the mubtada. Sahibu Rasulillahi. Sahibu Rasulillahi is the khabar. Sahibu means companion. Rasulillahi, we've already wrote Messenger of Allah. And notice how the predicate has double compounds. So Sahibu Rasulillahi. So Sahibu is the thing that's being possessed. So it's the mulaf. And then Rasulullahi is the mulaf of Sahibu. But it is also the mulaf of Allahi. You see how that's now all together? That's going to be important when we get to later, inshallah. Okay? So excellent. Next.
Bakr means what?
Bakr, I don't know what it means.
The foal.
I think, I'm sorry.
It's a baby camel.
Baby camel.
So we can say the sahibun as friend.
Sahib is friend, companion. Companion is a closer translation because Siddiq was commonly used as friend. Sahib is a companion. Someone who's it can have multiple contexts involved. Friend is fine too, but Sahib is a better. Companion is a more common translation that we use, so that's why it's better there. Excellent. Go ahead next. I think very good. Right, next.
Azab Jahim Akhulatul Kafirin. I couldn't do that.
What group were you in? You guys can help your brother out. It's helping you, man. Go ahead, next.
Okay. Azabu Jahim is the Mubtada.
Okay.
And Akhibatul Kafirin is the predicate.
Excellent. And now transition each word.
Azabu Jahim. Azabu is punishment. Jahim is of hellfire. Akhibatul Kafirin. Akhibat, end of non-believers.
Excellent. So Aqiba is the result, the consequence, or the end result of.
And result of non-believers.
So put together in a sentence.
Okay. Punishment of hellfire is the end result of non-believers.
Excellent. MashaAllah. So عذاب جحيم عاقبة الكافرين. So عذاب جحيم, it is what type of compound? Possessive compound. So the jahim is the possessor. عذاب is the thing being possessed. So it's the mubtada is the thing being possessed. The mudaf is the thing being possessed. And the mudaf ilayhi is the possessor. Okay, just so you're familiar with the terms. But if you know that this is a possessive compound, that's more important. So عذاب جحيم عاقبة الكافرين. عاقبة الكافرين is another compound. It's the same thing. It is a possessive compound. And the thing that's being possessed is the aqiba. The thing that is possessing is al-kafirin. And so the thing that is being possessed can take on different grammatical states. So we can have a dhamma, kasra, or fatha. But the thing that is possessing, the mudaf ilayh, is ina is a sign of masculine, of jar and nasl for the plural. So those of you who are new, inshallah, you haven't heard that yet. But that's as a reminder. Okay, next, inshallah. Just
الشهادة كلمات طيبة or طيبة. The testimony is a good word. الشهادة is the مبتدا and كلمات طيبة is the خبر.
excellent, mashallah. So الشهادة كلمات طيبة. كلمات طيبة. كلمة طيبة. So the mubtada is الشهادة. Then the predicate is al-kalimat, kalimatun tayyibatun. And then the meaning of shahadatu is witness, or the testimony of faith. Al-shahada, the testimony is yashhadu an la ilaha illallah, al-shahadatu. Kalimatun tayyibatun. Kalima means word or phrase. Tayyiba means pure or good. And this is a reference to an ayah in the Quran. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ كَلِمَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ كَشَجَرَةٍ طَيِّبَةٍ أَصْلُهَا ثَابِتٌ وَفَرْعُهَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. And it's referring to the shahada. So الشهادة كلمة طيبة. So we know the translation of each word. We know that shahadatu is the mubtada. We know the khabar is كلمة طيبة. We know that كلمة طيبة is a what type of compound? Adjectival compound. So we know that طيبة is describing kalima. So you need to put it together as a pure word. So الشهادة, the shahada or the testimony of faith, is a pure word, okay, or is a good word or a good phrase, pure phrase. Good, excellent. Nice.
رجلان قائمان. So رجلان is the mubtada, قائمان is the khabar, and it's the two men are standing.
Excellent. So الرجلان قائمان. Well, here we're learning that dual mubtadas are matched with dual khabars. Plural mubtadas are matched with plural khabars. Something we didn't learn, but we learn with practice. So that's why when we start reading more, we'll start to experience more things that makes more sense when we read them, as opposed to just studying them abstractly. So الرجلان is the mubtada, قائمان the khabar. الرجلان means the two men. قائمان, قائم is someone who stands, from قام يقوم. قائمان is two people who are standing, but it's describing two people, therefore you use it in the dual form. So الرجلان قائمان. But if I said الرجلان قائمان, now it becomes what? An adjectival compound. But الرجلان قائمان. So the two men are standing. Not is standing, are standing. Because now we're doing proper English too. Don't forget proper English. But I like that we translated the broken English and then we try to rephrase it in a way that is good. And that's why you see so many translations on the market. Trying to put it in proper English. Try to express the meaning behind the word. That's why it's called the meaning of the translation of the Quran as opposed to just a direct translation of the Quran. Because you're trying to grasp the meaning of the word, not just the translation, direct translation. So, and I hope you guys appreciate that now, inshallah. So, next, inshallah. Okay.
البنات ذكيات.
البنات, what was this name?
ذكيات. The girl of البنات is the mubtada. ذكيات is the khabar. And it means the girls, intelligent. So the girls are intelligent.
Excellent, mashallah. So, al-banat means the girls. Zakiyat is another expression, another demonstration, that the plurality needs to match in the mubtada and khabar. So, al-banatu zakiyatun. Al-banatu is the mubtada, zakiyatun is the khabar, and al-banatu means daughters or girls, and zakiyat comes from zakiyah, which comes from zaki, which we've learned means intelligent. And when you put them together, the daughters are intelligent. Excellent.
الأعمال السيئات شر. الأعمال السيئات is the mubtada and شر is the khabar.
Excellent. Now, what are the translations of each word?
Al-amal mean rewards.
A'mal means
mean deeds.
deeds.
As-sayyi'at mean bad.
Excellent.
Sharrun, evil.
Evil. Excellent.
So the bad deeds are evil.
Excellent. MashaAllah. Al-a'malu is the plural of amal. So whenever you get it, write down, because you need to try to make the singles and plurals. If you don't already know, of course. So al-a'malu as-sayyi'at. So remember, as-sayyi'at al-a'mal. What kind of compound is this?
It's a broken compound.
Adjective compound. Excellent. So sayyi'at is describing al-a'mal. So bad deeds, al-a'mal sayyi'at, sharrun, evil. Okay, or evil. Sharrun, because sharrun, the reason why sharrun is matched plurality is because sharrun is just a descriptive word for everything. So he said those actions are evil. That action is evil. So you go to evils, you don't have S to it, right? So sharrun just stays the same always. Okay. So sayyi'at, al-a'mal sayyi'at, sharrun. Excellent. Go ahead.
ويل للمنافقين. ويل is a مبتدا للمنافقين is خبر. ويل is woe to the منافقين.
Excellent, mashallah. So waylun, I should have done a bit more research as to like the figurative or the more background, mashallah. I didn't do that. But waylun is an expression, it's an ism that demonstrates, trying to think of the word, there's an actual term for it in Arabic. But basically it's an ism that acts like a fi'l. Okay, so it's an ism that acts like a fi'l. And it's basically saying destruction, waylun, even though we translate it as woe to, woe unto those. But it means destruction. Like destruction is upon. So waylun lil mukadibina. So waylun is the mubtada, lil mukadibina. Lil munafiqina is the khabar. And then waylun means destruction upon, but it's actually an ism, woe unto. Lil munafiqina, to al munafiqin. Munafiqin are hypocrites. Are those who openly say they're Muslims, but underneath, not only do they not believe, but they seek to destroy their religion too, seek to harm people through the process. That's why the punishment is so great in the Quran.
We translate this one, destruction to hypocrites or destruction upon them?
Yeah, belongs to the hypocrites, or to the hypocrites. Or upon is, that's why you say what the translation is literally, and it's like, how can I reword it appropriately? And so if the meaning is expressed, that's what's important when you're translating things. Okay? I'm sorry? This is Jumlatul Ismiya because it's an ism, but it acts like a verb. So because it's an ism though, it's Jumlatul Ismiya. Does that make sense? How many more do we have? Okay, good. Next, okay. It's getting harder, by the way. Go ahead. Go ahead to the next one. Go ahead. That's cheating. You can't do that. That sounds like a complete document very fast. Go ahead.
That's the subject, and that's the predicate.
Excellent.
And Yadullahi, the hand of Allah, and above Jama'ati, on the word.
Excellent. MashaAllah. So Yadullahi fawqa jama'ati. So Yadullahi, Yadun means, Yadullahi is the subject or the mubtada. Fawqa jama'ati is the predicate or the khabar. Yadullahi, the hand. Yad means hand. Allah. Fawqa means upon or over. Al-jama'ati means the group or the gathering or the jama'ah as we know. So Yadullahi, the hand of Allah, is fawqa al-jama'ati, is upon or over the jama'ah. Excellent. Now going to the one before, sister, inshallah, if you want to try, I forgot to do the beginning, inshallah. Anyone want to try it? Raise your hands. Someone read it out loud for me. I'm sorry, I forgot what it is, so I can't remember. I'll try to do. Maybe I'll write these ones on the board. The last
قلوب المؤمنين السليمة جميلة.
Okay, there we go. قلوب المؤمنين السليمة جميلة. Go ahead.
قلوب المؤمنين السليمة is مبتدأ جميلة is خبر.
There you go, mashallah. So, why do we say that? So now we're starting to get a little bit more complex. Go ahead.
The translation is the healthy hearts of the believers are beautiful.
Excellent. So, قلوب المؤمنين السليمة. So, قلوب المؤمنين is what kind of compound? It is a possessive compound. We write this down because this is very important for us. We're really, the last three are the most important. Okay, so to show you that. We'll take a break after this. I know you guys are tired. قلوب. And even if we have to do this all day, I'm okay pushing stuff forward because we need to understand this before we die. قلوب المؤمنين. I should make it smaller. قلوب is a capital word. قلوب المؤمنين قلوب المؤمنين السليمة السليم right
السليمة
السليمة جزاك الله خيرا السليمة
جميلة.
جميلة. Excellent. So, we are saying that this is the subject. Okay? Everything after that's the predicate, which is correct. So, qulub, what does qulub mean? Hearts. It's a plural of qalb. 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 Okay? Excellent. Al-mu'minina, believers. It's the plural of mu'min. As-salima. I'm sorry? At rest, at peace. And this is a very deep word. At rest, at peace, or healthy. I'm going to choose both of those. So, at peace or healthy. But the salima, the at peace, is a better description because it comes from salam, which means peace. At peace or at rest. Okay? Jamilatun, beautiful. Excellent. Okay. So when I said, how do you recognize where the mubtada ends and the khabar begins? When all compounds are exhausted, that are connected together. The moment something is not connected to a compound, that's the khabar. So what do I mean by this? Qulub al-mu'minina is a compound. What kind of compound is it? Possessive. Excellent. Okay? As-salima, is it connected to any word as a compound? Which word is it connected to and what kind of compound?
قلوب.
Sister, go ahead. No, this is not connected to Jamila. Very close, but it's connected to another word.
قلوب.
Because if it was connected to Jamila, the Jamila would be part of this compound, part of this mubtada. And so we're saying that it's not Jamila, it's a separate word, it's not connected to any words. But Salima is connected to words. So what word is it connected to? Qulub. Excellent. So As-Salima is connected to Qulub. How? What kind of compound is that? Adjectival compound. This is the adjective, and this is being described. So the Qulub, even if you took out Mu'mineen completely, I'm just going to do this. Right? Al-qulub as-salimatu. That is an adjectival compound. Now, why are we removing the alif lam? Because we added mu'minina there. And because you added mu'minina there, and you're using this as a possessive compound, you cannot have alif lam. Okay? Because of this compound. Alif lam is gone. Alif lam is gone. Al-mu'minina is added. And then as-salimatu stays the same. But why is as-salima describing qulub, but it's not describing al-mu'minina?
Because it's there rough.
Nope, they're all rafa'. That's excellent. Excellent. So this is rafa'un.
It's feminine.
This is jarrun. Okay? Why is this jarrun? Sisters who are new, this is jarrun because we didn't learn it yet, but one of the signs of jar is ina, when you have a sound masculine plural. Mu'minuna, mu'minina. Why is it mu'minina and not mu'minuna? Because mu'minuna is rafa'an, mu'minina is jarrun, and also nasbun. Okay, so good. So this does it. So, and then qulub is what? Rafa'an. Okay. What else? So we said that this needs to match, an adjectival compound needs to match in 4 areas. What? The ma'rifa. What's 2? The jins or the gender. What's 3? Plurality, al-jama' or al-adad. Right? 4 is i'rab. Al-i'rab. I'm writing it in Arabic for this reason, okay? So definite or indefinite. So, qulub, definite or indefinite?
Definite.
Indefinite.
Tricky. It's actually definite, but because it's connected to the mu'mineen, and it is the mudaf, it's the thing that's being possessed by the mu'mineen, it cannot have alif lam. So therefore it's a definite, but it's originally definite. Okay? And it is connected to something that is definite. Alright? So if it's possessed by something that's definite, it's definite. Okay? So that's a little bit tricky. Because you haven't learned compounds, it's a little bit tricky. Okay? Masculine or feminine? Al-qulub. Qulub. Masculine or feminine? That's tricky. That's why these are tough. I had to write it out.
It's not.
Qulub is actually from qalb.